Are aliens real? Have they been here the whole time? What can worldwide sightings confirm about Area 51, right? What do all these not so close encounters all have in common? I'm Taylor McWaters, and here are the top 10 terrifying things hidden inside of Area 51 the government does not want you to know about. Starting our list off at number 10, dark history. This secret base in the Nevada desert acts as the US military hub for spatial engineering and, possibly, hopefully, some reverse engineering for some alien crafts. The area is named after the geological grid of the desert. The area gained notoriety, of course, in the early 90s, with numerous claims that workers had worked on alien aircraft and even heard of harboring alien creatures underground. The entire premises is fenced off with signs saying no photography allowed, and also use of deadly force is authorized. So whatever they're hiding here, it's mostly military, hopefully with a little splash of ET. The base has been a testing facility for the Air Force and remains one of the most highly secured and secretive bases in America. Number 9. Tikaboo Peak. Say you're watching this video and you want something, right? What's the closest you can legally get to Area 51, right? What's the only way you can possibly see footage of a little alien ship coming and or going? Well, you gotta go to Tikaboo Peak, that's how. Located right in the middle of the Nevada desert, Area 51, of course, is hard to see. This peak could help that problem. Bob Lazar, back in 1989, he spoke out to news outlets explaining how he used to work in Area 51, specifically on UFOs using anti-gravity technology. With this peak being just 26 miles away from the top secret base, you might just see a test flight or two from the bushes, just like Bob did, right? Number 8. They can't stop all of us. Back in the 1950s, the public wanted answers as well. It was June 17th, 1959. The Reno Evening Gazette published a story with the headline reading, "More flying objects seen in Clark sky." More? What'd I miss? More flying objects? Then the paper even went on to describe how Sergeant Wayne Anderson, a local sheriff, was one of many locals that spotted what the paper described as an object bright green in color and descending towards the earth at a speed too great to be an airplane. Yeah, like a meteor, I guess. I don't know, that's terrifying. What could they possibly be talking about? Number 7, the Gorman Dogfight. This one is a classic. A lot of people believe this encounter. This encounter lasted a whopping 27 minutes in the air. A dogfight happened between a veteran World War II fighter pilot named George F. Gorman and a UFO. It was him versus a white orb, and they were both at an extremely high altitude above Fargo, North Dakota. Gorman told a local newspaper following the 1948 event, "The experienced pilot said, and I quote, 'If anyone else had reported such a thing, I would have thought they were crazy.'" Captain Ruppelt operated Project Blue Book, a series of studies conducted by the US Air Force between 1947 and 1969, and there's reports of the same dogfight from the ground as well. So yes, there are multiple eyewitnesses for this one. Number 6, Project Aquatone. So we think about aircraft evolution over the last, say, 100 years. Well, back in 1955, Area 51 was selected by the CIA as a testing site for the Lockheed U-2. And if you've seen Top Gun Maverick lately, good on you, great film, 10 out of 10. But if you've seen it, this will tickle your fancy. The Lockheed U-2 was this high altitude aircraft. It was the top of the line technology, and tests were originally conducted over the codename Project Aquatone. Now on June 25th, 2013, the CIA approved the release of declassified documents that details, for the first time officially, the history of the U-2 and Oxcart programs in response to a Freedom of Information Act request, just like we're seeing right now with these, UFO videos online. The release of those documents marked the first time that the US government actually acknowledged the existence of Area 51. And since then, we've been waiting around for another big announcement or something. Number 5, Virginia sighting. We have to look at some sightings to know what goes on in Area 51, right? If it's spacecrafts or whatever, we've got to look elsewhere for clues. 2 UFO sightings were reported to the National UFO Reporting Center in Virginia on April 4th, 2019, quite recent. At 6:48 a.m., an eyewitness claimed to have seen a light blue circular craft darting across the sky in Virginia Beach, headed east. So already you're pumped, right? You're jazzed. Aliens confirmed, right? Then 7 minutes later, an eyewitness at the Norfolk Naval Station, 23 miles northwest, claimed to see what resembled a shooting star with a green glow that never faded. This object also moved without noise and disappeared just like that in 10 seconds. There were 2,348 UFO sightings reported throughout the state between 2001 and 2015. Number 4, Travis Walton, 1975. This horrifying abduction of a local Arizona forester, Travis Walton, take it with a grain of salt. On November 5th, 1975, Walton and a number of others from the logging crew, they were working with timber in the national forest, and then while riding in a truck with 6 other of his co-workers, they allegedly encountered a flying saucer or a saucer-shaped object hovering about 100 feet away in the forest. It was also making a high-pitched buzz, so it was very, something was going on. Walton exited the truck and ran over curious, and then a beam of light appeared from the craft and blasted him unconscious. The other 6 men were terrified and they drove away before returning moments later in panic to a now vanished Travis. Walton claims that he woke up in a hospital room observed by 3 short, bald creatures, aliens. He fought with them until a more human-looking figure led them to another room where he then blacked out again. Walton claimed he remembers nothing else till he found himself awake yet again alongside a highway 5 days later, naked, clueless of what had just happened. Number 3. Rendlesham Forest, 1980. It was Boxing Day 1980. The forest lies between the military bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge. Now at 3 a.m., 2 military personnel, John Burroughs and Jim Peniston, they both respond to bright lights in the forest. The radios also stopped working, which is not helpful at all in this case. There was a static feeling in the air as well, and an odd silence. Now the closer the men got, the more they realized it wasn't one of theirs. Peniston was drawn in and he actually touched the craft. It instantly electrocuted him and apparently downloaded him with odd symbols and star map into his brain before the craft eventually blasted off again. 24 hours later, the craft returned and Deputy Commander Charles Halt is now witness in the exact same spot. Only this time, there are now 3 large landing holes in the grass. Years later, Burroughs and Peniston still ask each other and the British government for their medical records from that night because they never received them. Almost 32 years later and still, they've never received anything. Number 2. O'Hare Airport. The O'Hare Airport incident happened at approximately 4:15 p.m. in broad daylight on November 7th, 2006. The airport received this report that a group of 12 airport employees were all witnessing the same thing. They were all witnessing a metallic saucer-shaped craft hovering still over gate C-17. It was just waiting there for something. The object was spotted by a ramp employee at first, and then it was witnessed by pilots, and then airline management, and then numerous mechanics simultaneously. Air traffic controllers didn't even see the object on radar either. That's the scary part. But in person sat a completely silent, 7-meter wide, dark gray saucer. Several witnesses outside of the airport also saw the object, calling local police and reporting it, of course, because they were terrified. Numerous phone-ins described a disc or a craft hovering above the airport as well for minutes without moving. So everybody saw this, not just airport officials. According to another witness, the object then shot straight up through the clouds at a high speed, leaving just a clear blue hole in the clouds. Number 1. Zimbabwe Sighting. In 1996, a mass sighting was witnessed by an entire school in broad daylight in Zimbabwe. Yeah, more than 150 students and staff were all present at this point. There have been tons of documentaries surrounding this exact case. Face-to-face, arm's length with a craft, and also alien beings. Yeah, this is a whole cosmic visit apparently. The children, who are now mostly in their 30s and or 40s, are still convinced. They still stand by what they saw. More than 100 students can still remember what they claim to be telepathic warning from the creatures surrounding our use of technology and the hazards that it has on our planet. So that's cool. Director and writer James Fox documents this infamous interaction in his 2020 documentary, The Phenomenon. Area 51 could be housing UAPs or parts left over from interactions like this one in Zimbabwe back in 1996. Who knows? Comment down below if you think aliens are real, if UFOs are real, if Area 51's a bunch of hogwash. I don't know. I'm not really fully convinced either way yet. I've been your host, Taylor McWater. See you next time on Most Amazing Top 10. Peace.